Man, if you are still trying to catch your breath after that stunning Season 2 finale of Daredevil Born Again, you are definitely in the right place. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking all those massive character shifts, the brilliant comic book connections, and the completely reshaped landscape of Hell's Kitchen. We're looking directly at the source material to break down exactly what just happened and where this wild story is heading next. So here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to cover the fall of Kingpin, the return of the Defenders, Bullseye joining the Dark Avengers, some brand new faces in Hell's Kitchen, and finally, Matt Murdock's ultimate sacrifice. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the fall of Kingpin. Fisk's downfall actually kicks off with this brilliant, totally tension-filled courtroom battle against Matt. And the crazy part? Not a single physical punch gets thrown. The second Matt unexpectedly calls Fisk to the witness stand, you can literally hear those heavy, thumping footsteps. It just emphasizes his immense weight, and his mounting rage. It pushes him right over the edge, culminating in that brutal hallway rampage where he's smashing doors and channeling his classic, terrifying "when I was a boy" monologue. And think about his new reality now. By the end of the finale, Fisk has been stripped of everything. I mean, absolutely everything that gave him his edge. He's lost Vanessa, his wealth is totally frozen, his grip on the city is gone, and he's been tossed into this isolated island exile. He is basically a weapon that's had its edges completely dulled and just thrown onto a scrap heap. Now you might be wondering, considering all his crimes, why an island? Why wasn't he sent to a high-security prison like the DODC facility with Trevor Slattery or the Raft with Zemo? Well, it all comes down to comic book logic. Sending him to a traditional prison would have literally just given him the chance to weaponize the inmates and build a brand new super gang. The island, it forces total, absolute isolation. Now, sure, while set leaks do show him looking destitute and homeless back in New York, the showrunners have actually confirmed his role is going to shrink significantly. So if you're a fan of Frank Miller's legendary comic runs, you are in for a serious treat next season. We're going to see new villains step into the spotlight, while Fisk kind of takes a back seat for a bit. Moving right along, Section 2, the return of the Defenders. We're actually seeing a clear shift away from the traditional Defenders team dynamic, moving straight into the classic heroes for hire setup from the comics. We've got Luke Cage returning, rocking a totally comic-accurate suit and taking on jobs. Plus, with Iron Fist slated to return next season, the pieces for this iconic street-level team are falling perfectly into place. And regarding Jessica Jones, we really need to clarify what's going on with her intermittently feeling powers. The source material points out that this stems strictly from alcohol withdrawal, likely her trying to get sober for the sake of her daughter. It's actually not tied to mental trauma or PTSD from her past, mind control trauma, or even Luke's absence. The second she takes a drink, boom, her powers stabilize. Okay, Section 3, Bullseye and the Dark Avengers. So Bullseye is now working with Valentina's associate, Mr. Charles, taking over all those dark hit jobs and assassinations that the new Avengers can't do publicly anymore. And what's absolutely fascinating here is that Bullseye is currently in a surprisingly balanced mental state. Because he shot Buck, he feels like he's balanced his karmic scales, It allows him to sit peacefully and listen to his old audio tapes again. But let's be real for a second. He is still a total unhinged psychopath. When you map out the MCU villains currently in play, a terrifying Dark Avengers roster really starts to take shape. This directly mirrors the comic storyline where villains take on hero mantles under Norman Osborn. Bullseye is perfectly positioned to become their twisted version of Hawkeye, just like Mac Gargan's Scorpion could become their twisted version of Spider-Man. It's just this dark, dark mirror of the heroes we know and love. Next up, Section 4, New Faces in Hell's Kitchen. The whole board is being reset right under our noses. We've got BB filling the absolutely crucial Ben Urich reporting role from the comics, which honestly is a super necessary fix since the Netflix series killed Ben off. We also have White Tiger arriving on the scene, but the most terrifying development has to be this horribly toxic dynamic forming between a surviving, potentially disabled Buck and Heather, who we see officially donning the mask but to become the villain muse. They are absolutely going to feed off each other's worst traits next season. Finally, Section 5, Matt Murdock's ultimate sacrifice. Matt literally willingly exposed his greatest secret to the entire world right there in that courtroom. He didn't use some magic spell to make people forget. He just faced it completely head on. So the big question is, how exactly is the narrative going to handle this massive fallout for a hero who, actually really needs his day job? Well, his comic-accurate trajectory is pretty brutal. Day 1, his identity is revealed. Day 2, he's sent straight to prison, heading right into the famous Ed Brubaker Devil in Cell Block D scenario. And the real-world consequence of all this? He gets completely disbarred. He entirely loses his license to practice law. But honestly, prison is not going to break him. Surrounded by the exact villains he put away, including Powell and the Anti-Vigilante Task Force, Matt is going to absolutely dominate that prison block. It's a classic, I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me kind of situation. And meanwhile, on the outside, Perrin and McDuffie are going to be desperately working every single legal angle for his release. But how do they actually cast doubt on his identity while he's literally locked up in a cell? Pulling directly from the source material, we can totally expect to see Danny Rand, the Iron Fist himself, dressing up as Daredevil on the outside. Him beating up criminals in Hell's Kitchen while Matt is behind bars, that is the absolute perfect way to confuse the public and the authorities about who is really under the horns. To wrap up this explainer, we are left with a seriously tantalizing question. Think about it. With the upcoming Spider-Man Brand New Day storyline featuring Spidey fighting hand ninjas inside a prison, and Matt Murdock now locked up in a facility that will inevitably be targeted by those exact same hand ninjas, could these two iconic heroes cross paths behind bars next season? Now, I know it might clash a bit with their different ideologies on serving time, but the setup is undeniably there. So, what do you guys think? Are we going to see a super-powered prison break? Let that question simmer, and we'll see you in the next explainer.